this fighting end? Pain, it hurts. It just cuts me like a knife inside. Will you run? Or will you just leave and hide? You always said that I've let you down so many times, but now you see that all I ever did was try to get your attention for just one little loving word. But now I'm gone, and the bridge is about to burn. I don't have to like you, but I love you. You're my flesh and blood. I don't have to like you, but I care what you're thinking of. I don't have to like you, but I miss you when you went away. Oh, please tell me you love me before I fade away. I don't have to like you, but I love you. You're my flesh and blood. I don't have to like you, but I care of what you're thinking of. I don't have to like you, but I miss you when you went away. Oh, please tell me you love me before I fade away. Here we go. We just stepped into the ring again, toe to toe. Tell me, when will this fighting end? Pain, it hurts. It just cuts me like a knife inside. Will you run? Or will you just leave and hide?
It's lunchtime and the Brooklyn Cafe is open for business. Live from the Amp Media Studios, Dawn and Freddie S. and their team are ready to serve up a huge portion of fun for lunch with friends and neighbors. So let's break open that lunch pail and unwrap that sandwich you brought and take a front row seat in the Brooklyn Cafe and get ready to enjoy some humor and hot topics. It's time to get a healthy serving of hope and happiness to help your day go by with a smile. Your hosts, Dawn and Freddie S., are ready to talk about food, health, dating, or just plain dream making. If you have a story to share, movie review, restaurant critique, or just a coincidental thing that happened to you, call in toll free 888-994-4995, Studio A right now. Sit back and enjoy your lunch break at the Brooklyn Cafe. Here are your hosts, Dawn and Freddie S.
Aw,
Your bell broke?
my bell broke. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Brooklyn Cafe on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. The sun is shining. It looks like they're making some kind of progress over the Ukraine.
That song that you heard opening our show was from CeCe Clevenger, and the picture you saw is a benefit this Sunday to benefit Ukraine fundraiser, I Stand for Peace. Live music, light refreshments, April 3rd at 4 p.m. It happens to be at a longtime friend at the cafes and sponsor, Total Holistic Center, with Dr. Anya and Ben Temer. So I had forgotten that they are both from the Ukraine. They moved to New York when they were teenagers. And what's going on, she said, she'll fill us in person, is just heartbreaking every which way. So she sent me the flyer. I said we would be more than happy to promote it. It is, believe there must be brothers, Yadim and Sasha Kolpakov, excuse me if I pronounced it, guitarists from the Romani family. They're a family of gypsies. So you can find them at 561-323-4994. It is April 3rd at 4 p.m. It is free. Any proceeds and donations that you make go 100% back to the Ukraine. And if you can't make it, you can call and make a donation. I'm going to try and go.
We're going to try also to get them in studio to play. Maybe we could do something for the people of Ukraine, having them in studio playing and maybe collect proceeds or something so we can send it.
You know, even when she sent me the flyer, I still didn't realize or remember that she was from the Ukraine until at the bottom it says Ukrainian American owned business. And I thought, wow, how powerful is that to be supportive of?
Well, again, you know what's going on. If you don't, get hit because it's going on. So this is the good cause. And the background music that you heard was of our good new friend, CC Cleveland.
Clevenger.
Clevenger.
That too.
Clevenger. I call him CC now, you know why? I really love that song.
It's a great song.
I love that song. I know that he's on his way to go on tour. They are looking for sponsors to help them get the word out. They're going to go, I think it's 12 cities, something like that. So if you want to help out, give us a call, 866-224-5422. Or call the Studio A. What's the number?
888-994-4995. Studio A just hit 1 for Studio A, and they will patch you through.
Yep, and we'll work it out to accommodate.
So today in history, I thought that was a nice trivia question.
What year?
What year, today in history, was Coca-Cola first served in Atlanta, Georgia? If you know the question to that, give us a call at 888-994-4995. Press 1 for Studio A, and you will win a free bag of Brooklyn Cafe Show coffee.
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 And you saw what they do with the coffee.
So they're working on a promo piece for the coffee, which is pretty exciting.
It looks like we have 7 places that want to house the coffee, the little mini
The stands with the
stands.
bags.
It looks like it's gonna work.
It's definitely going to work. They're working hard on that in Studio B, and they were trying to be so neat. And Bree's working on the coffee beans, and I started pouring them. They fell on the floor. I stepped on them, and now we've got ground coffee
It's
on
a
the
mess
floor.
in there. What do you
That
mean?
was me.
Of
That was
course
not
it was
them.
you.
That was 100% on me.
That's why I didn't go in there, because I knew it was gonna be a mess.
That was 100% on me. But we've got some big news, because here you go. Here it is. Coca-Cola goes on sale for the first time in a drugstore in Atlanta. Its inventor, Dr. John Pemberton, claims it can cure anything from hysteria to the common cold. Hysteria for sure it can cure. I am not so sure about the common cold, though.
Now, is it true that the original Coca-Cola had a little bit of coca in it
That's
from
what
the
they
coca
say.
plant?
No,
That's what
I don't
they
think
say?
from the coca plant, not from coca.
No, I heard it was in the coca plant.
Really?
Oh,
That
what
I don't know.
plant is it going to be? The gypsy plant?
I don't know about that. But what year was Coca-Cola first served in a drugstore in Atlanta?
Look at this.
Today's also National Mom and Pop Business Owners Day. I guess it's like a small business owner. Are we a mom and pop business?
This is why the banner is behind us.
How can I support you?
How can I support you? I mean, the bottom line is we're here to support. We're here to help. You know, the rain is slowing down, almost stopped, and it's time to come out, look at the sunshine, get your business going.
Can we
Amp it
announce
up.
our big announcement?
Yes, he says we could.
All right, let's do it. So after 2 long years of not being able to bring our show on the road, we've just got the all clear and the approval that next Friday, April 8th, we will be live on location at an anti-aging summit for the faculty, and we will be streaming it from 10 until 4 down in Doral in Miami.
That would be on Friday, and then maybe even Saturday. It depends on how they like it.
So very excited to be back there. That was our very first gig you and I did 6 years ago with Boston BioLife. That was 4 days at the Palm Beach Convention Center. All day, 4
I
hours
remember.
every day, and it was fascinating. And we now have the opportunity and privilege again to be doing this down in Doral next Friday, potentially Friday and Saturday.
And it's interesting because some of the medical stuff that these particular researchers are doing, this is like the Super Bowl for researchers, talks about gut health, talks about how gut health affects a lot of bad problems going on right now,
Yeah.
if not all of them. And it explains a lot in my life. Did you know that there are certain milks that you drink that create holes in your intestines?
Really?
And that's one of the problems, especially if you have diabetes or you were on tetracycline when you were 12 years old. A lot of stuff going on, but congratulations to them. BioLife is one of the biggest in the industry. And we are trying to do this one in Doral, right? Because I told Mr. Joe, I call him Mr. Joe. Only man in the business, I call him Mr. Joe, to take us with us to California, Colorado, Houston, some of the other events that they're going to be doing around the country. And we are creating a channel for them so you can get this information firsthand.
You know, it's interesting because you read the studies. I read the studies. When I met you, I was health coaching about gut health and your gut being your first brain. And we talk about it over and over again, that your gut is really your first brain towards health. And then you start seeing people around you get sick, whether metabolic syndrome, whether it's dementia, which they call another phase of Alzheimer's, Alzheimer's, dementia, diabetes, all of that due to inflammation. And you start seeing it, and you start looking back on your past, and people are denying it until they're going through it, and you realize the foods that they eat and lifestyles that you live, when you now go through it as you're aging, you go, maybe it's something to be said. It's not just science didn't pull this from the thin air. Science actually did studies and the research on it to find out it is in fact, and you talk about it all the time.
Well, it's really funny because I owe you an apology, which is 7 years in the making. You know, it's really funny. When I first met Dawn, she was into the whole health deal. And she used to tell people, don't eat this, don't do that. But her delivery was, she didn't really say anything. You know, Freddie had the worst diet on the face of the earth. And you never said that to me. You said, maybe you should try. You know, she's like very polite in telling you, slap, 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 a Will Smith to the face, to tell you, you know what, wake up, because what you're doing is going to hurt you down the road. And I didn't listen. And it cost me dearly. Man. I went straight to the hospital. It cost me so dearly, right? So here you have told me time and time again about coconut milk as opposed to almond milk. And I just discovered that almond milk creates inflammation. Diabetics shouldn't drink it. Even though it's healthy, don't drink it if you're a diabetic. And look, do the science. I mean, look it up. So I owe you an apology for not listening. For not listening. Because if I had listened 7 years ago today, I probably would not be as stiff. I probably would not have, you know, that cloudiness that I have, and I forget going to Walmart. I couldn't remember the damn name of Walmart. And it's really interesting because our guest that we have in here is going to be talking about this. But I got to tell you something. In our business, we read a lot. We do a lot of stuff to get prepared for this deal. And constantly, I always thought that that was enough. That was enough to keep my mind focused. And I was wrong. Because what you take in, what you eat, what you take care here and here, they have a direct effect. So I should have listened.
But you can't listen. You can only meet people, and the first thing you ever learn in anything in the medical field, whether you're a physician, a therapist, a counselor, a nurse, you can only meet people where they are right now, including Paul for senior advisors. If you go to a financial planner, they can only work with you with what you are willing to absorb right now. And if that person isn't ready to absorb more, first thing I think I said to you was you should stop eating ketchup and soda. And I thought if we could make those two changes, those are pretty two big changes.
That.
And you did that.
But that was just the beginning.
But again, that's just the beginning. But walking, and if you see this, it says walking at a brisk pace burns as much, close to as many calories as a jog for the same time and distance. So if you just get moving, and they're doing research again, more and more research on movement, on how it helps prevent Alzheimer's and dementia. Water. Flush all the toxins through your body.
Look how difficult it is to raise this and drink it. 8 of these a day. I mean, how difficult is that? And, I feel really, really dumb for not listening. Because, when you're young, you feel invincible. When you get older, you feel you have all the right answers. And when you get old, you just live the regret of not listening to when you were young.
Yeah, but there are people that don't regret it. There are people, and actually C.C. Clevenger said he was 600 plus pounds about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
He chose to lose the weight. There are people that are very happy with their weight and their lifestyle the way it is, and they choose that life. And if they get sick, that's the choice they're happy to make. There are other people that don't realize what you're taking in and what you are not physically moving to get out will cause damages until down the line you see people you care about suffering.
There ain't no such thing as I like pain. I don't like getting up in the morning and not being able to close and clench my hands. I don't like getting up in the morning and it takes me 15 minutes to go from the bed 6 feet to the bathroom. I don't like that. I don't care who you are. Nobody wants to live in pain. Nobody wants to say, what was it that I ate last night for dinner? Nobody wants to forget their way around a house. I gotta tell you, it's all fun and games until it affects you. And then the game is up. So anyway, I wanted to apologize simply because I should have listened more. I should have listened more. Doesn't mean that I had to choose everything you said, but I should have listened to you and to Heather more. I should have, because maybe my life would be a little bit more smooth now.
But here's the beautiful thing. Today's a new day.
I understand.
And
but
we
the
go again.
Some of the damage has been done.
And we go again and we start again. But it kind of leads us right into our show today. We've got Paul Solomon of Luhu Senior Advisors joining us. We've got Justin Mooney, our estate planner of HHK, joining us. They actually have a meeting later on today, so I'm excited to be able to meet them, join them in person here on the cafe. We've got some new things coming out with our Brooklyn Cafe Show Coffee, more information on that. And we're going to see what other hot topics we've got to discuss. But first, we're going to take a commercial break. Give us a call, 888-994-4995. It is never too late to take that next step.
It ain't never too late, but listen to those that give you sound advice.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Once a professional musician, artist Steven Zwirn uses his creativity through multimedia artistic expression. His compositions use acrylic paint to create 3D masterpieces. Steven's fascination with brilliant colors and intriguing patterns with jewels and rhinestones entices the eye with color and dimension. For more information on the artwork of Steven Zwirn, contact Steven at 914-656-9060 or stevenzwirn.com.
Justin Mooney is special counsel of the Florida office of Hinman, Howard & Cattell Attorneys. Justin's practice focuses on tax, estate planning, guardianship, probate, and trust administration. His passion is to provide clients with sophisticated estate plans which carry out their wishes, reduce any potential taxes, and preserve wealth for future generations. The attorneys of Hinman, Howard & Cattell provide first-class legal services and have achieved a reputation for excellence for over a century, staying on the leading edge of the law. When you need representation or legal counsel, contact Justin Mooney at 561-276-1008 or jmooney@hhk.com.
Hey everyone, I'm Lady Ashley and this is my husband, Big John.
The muscle behind the hustle.
We are the creators of this very unique party planning business, Lady Ashley Party Planning. We are known for all the details. We specialize in gorgeous balloon decor, floral displays, and handle all of your party planning needs from A to Z.
Please feel free to visit our website at ladyashleypartyplanning.com. Our email is abpartyplanning@yahoo.com, and our phone number is 561-542-2296.
Cool, calm, collected. Needing a drink to end a long day, or maybe to start your vacation right? Gubba Rum is here to let you kick back and do just that. Inspired by a technique that dates back to the 1800s, these artisanal, organic, and naturally infused rums are made from pure cane and the finest fruits, spices, and herbs the world has to offer. Gubba Silver is infused with naturally shredded coconut, and Gubba Gold is infused with real vanilla bean. Simply shake and enjoy. Visit gubbarum.com to find the nearest location a buyer enjoy. All establishments have personally reviewed and enjoyed firsthand the wicked smoothness of Gubba Rum. 35% ABV and 70 proof. Gubba Rum, it's wicked smooth.
Have you been injured in a car accident, slip and fall, or through the negligence of another? The lawyers at Shane M. Farnsworth, PA have over 40 years of combined experience representing injured individuals and their families. Call us today at 561-272-8337 for a free case evaluation and the answers to your legal questions. Were you injured in an accident that wasn't your fault? Don't let the insurance companies take advantage of you. Contact us now to learn about your options and to protect your rights.
Planning for the future should not be painful and needs to be discussed. From health, family, finances, allow qualified professionals to aid in your planning. Luhu Advisors have been serving South Florida for over 30 years. A licensed real estate broker, insurance agent, assisted living administrator, and certified senior advisor, Paul Solomon is the most qualified and well-rounded advisor for any task. Specializing in real estate, long-term care, life insurance and annuities, social securities, government benefits, and senior housing. Luhu Advisors. Let us help you.
You've been watching the Brooklyn Cafe Show. Join us each day and after hours as we talk about the hot topics to open the conversations and share a few laughs. Now, back to Dawn and Freddie S.
We'll glue it. The beauty of
We're
crazy
back.
glue, and we are back.
We're back.
And we're back. So the last commercial you saw was a new sponsor of the Brooklyn Cafe Show family, and that is Paul Solomon of Luhu Senior Advisors. Let us help you. You know how many people I say that to, and they think about it. Let us help you, but then the U is a U, not a Y-O-U, and they specify to me, they say, but you know, the U at the end is not a Y-O-U, which is good because that means they're thinking about what it is, and it sticks.
That was the whole idea.
So that is exactly what happens. And they all say that to me, but and they go right through it. Let us help you. Welcome back to Paul Solomon. We were just talking today, when we started our show, about all these choices that we make through life. Some of them things we can control, some of them genetics and things we can't that affect our outcome. And Paul is living proof of why you do what you do. So welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back again.
Let's talk about what Luhu does.
Luhu was created because of the help that I saw that families needed from baby boomers through seniors, understanding how to plan and protect their assets to help pay for long-term care. And it's becoming more and more an issue as I and my friends become of that age where our parents are getting older, their health is deteriorating, and they're looking for answers. And unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation out there of what's available government benefit-wise. Financial advisors don't really understand the needs going forward. They're worried about today and growing your money today, but not about the income that you're going to need in the future to help pay for these expenses that are going to come up.
What are you finding are some of the top questions that families are having that they come to you for?
Well, it's again trying to figure out, A, what mom or dad, it's usually mom or dad, aunt or uncle, whatever it is, a senior. When I'm talking about seniors, it could be as young as in their 60s to my oldest client was 102. And they're trying to figure out how is their assets, their money going to last? And where is their money? Whether it's their money is in their house and they don't have a mortgage, or their money is in some type of financial product, and how are they going to get it out? And the way the market is up and down these days, more than ever, they're scared that they're going to run out of money.
And then they come to you and say, all right, I've got money in my house. I guess I can always use my parents as a perfect example. They've lived in the same house that I grew up in.
Right.
So 50 years they've been in this house. And now they got to the point where they tried to sell it, didn't make what they wanted, so they paid off the mortgage. Now this is where they are going to stay.
Right.
But they pay for an aide to come in.
Right.
So you're looking at that and you say, all right, is it maybe better to age in place and bring an aid in? Is it maybe better to go to an assisted living? Is it better to go, then you talk about finances. Assisted livings can be upwards of $10,000, $13,000 a month per person.
Right. And it
Who
happened.
has that kind of money?
Right, and it happened to me. I wanted to bring in an aid to help my parents. My dad was mild cognitively impaired, and my mom really didn't understand it. I tried to take my mom to support groups because there's a lot of great support groups out there for dementia, Alzheimer's. She didn't want to go. I tried to bring an aid into the house. She didn't want anybody living in her house. So I said, unfortunately, something bad is going to happen. And the least expensive way was to have an aide there, a couple hours a day, whether in the morning or afternoon, to help them get through the day. She didn't want that. And that one day, unfortunately, happened where my dad walked out of the house and went missing for 22 hours.
Oh, wow.
And it was the beginning of the end, unfortunately. And once that happened, I kind of didn't let my parents make any more decisions. I stepped in to make the decisions because it affected my life, which, again, seniors don't understand how much it affects the people, the caregivers, helping them and supporting them, where I have a job, I have a family to take care of, and now my third job was taking care of my parents. And to be able to understand, okay, what am I going to do with them? What am I going to do with the house? These expenses, that expenses, healthcare expenses, and then on me, I had to have a life. So I had to move my parents out of their house into an assisted living, and it got expensive. But we knew, my family knew, that we were going to have to use their assets to start the process, and I had to get my mom to understand that we had to have a plan. They didn't have a plan, and they wouldn't let me do a plan. It wasn't the trust factor of not trusting me, it's just the old school mentality that we have it, we'll take care of it, whether families are embarrassed, their parents are embarrassed to tell their kids what they have left after all these years and spending all their money, and seeing that there's not a lot left. But unfortunately, it gets into a crisis mode. Fortunately for my family, we didn't have that crisis mode, but there's crises that keep popping up. As of last week, my mom was in the hospital for 6 days, and we had to get through that again. And that interrupted my life again for 6 days, having to deal with doctors, having to deal with the hospital, having to deal with the assisted living to get her back there, making sure the right care was there for her. So it's an ongoing process, and the money can, again, keep going. It just keeps going and goes faster. And the seniors out there don't realize how expensive it is as they get older. They think they have Medicare that's going to cover things. They think their supplement's going to cover things, but it's the actual care that they need, because a lot of families don't live where their parents live. So you have to have care come in. You have to have somebody supervising. Somebody has to be an advocate for them, because they can get lost within the system. And the system is bad.
And you can't even just say it's the disruption. I don't want people to get the wrong impression that you're inconvenienced as a son. That's not it at all. It's
Right.
you care. And when you take your loved one to a hospital, and your dad was in the hospital here, you want service like this.
Right.
And now you're waiting for a doctor's order, or you're waiting for a nurse to put the order on. You're waiting for the doctor to put it, the nurse to pull it, the meds to be administered, the tests to be given. And in the meantime, you're watching your mom or your dad or your parent, whatever it is, either flailing with dementia or Alzheimer's, sundowning, throwing things, being incontinent. And as a family member, all you want is for them to get the appropriate help.
Right.
So it's frustrating to see it on that side.
Yeah, and again, it's the continuation of information. You know, we're 2022, and information flows pretty freely, whether we want to or not. I mean, everybody knows everything. But it's amazing how when my mom is going from the assisted living to the hospital, they're giving a paper file on her of copies of things that she needs, whether it was do not resuscitate, power of attorney, you know, different items that why is not digitally somewhere. And then I get the phone call, them starting to ask me questions about my mom, and I have to make sure I tell them, you know, she has severe dementia. Oh. What do you mean, oh? How come that's not in the file? But that's the first thing I bring out there. Then when I get to the hospital, I see that the lack of training for the people in the hospital to understand how to handle somebody with dementia. And it's amazing. And my mom's screaming because they're touching her, but they're not going about the right way of how to handle a dementia patient, where they should ask them for approval to be able to touch them, or get right into their face and speak to them, and don't yell at them. Speak to them at the same tone that they would normally speak to. So there's a lot of training that's needed that I see that's not done when it comes to seniors,
It's
and it
so
gets me
hard.
mad all the time. It really
It's
does.
so hard, but that's not the scope of what you do for Luhu.
No. For me, it's more financial, because that's usually the biggest obstacle that a lot of families have is, okay, we have this pot of money, we have this house, we might have a life insurance policy, and we might even have a long-term care policy, but we don't really understand it. And it was bought so many years ago that it really is not a good long-term care policy, meaning it might take into consideration home care, but mom needs to move into an assisted living or mom needs to move into a nursing home, so that policy is really not good. You can't really use it. So they've been spending all these years monthly on this policy that they can't really use. And that's happened a lot because maybe that's what they could afford years ago, and that's what the insurance agent sold them because that's what they could afford. But now fast forward, that policy is really not something they can use. So when I go in to meet with the family, I ask them, lay everything on the table. We need to know everything. And bit by bit, depending upon where the money's sitting, depending upon the life insurance policies, depending upon their house, which might be their biggest asset, we have to figure out how we can pull money out, protect whatever we can, not so much the growth in the stock market at the age of 80, 85 years old, but how do we protect that money that's there so that we can have it last as long as they're alive. That's kind of what I do.
You know, it's funny because I wish I had known him when my parents were alive. I mean, you guys live in the USA, and here, you know, the post office works sometimes the way it's supposed to.
Right.
When you go to Puerto Rico, things don't work at all the way it's supposed to work. So my mother, and she rests in peace, had monies all over the place.
Right.
And it became a challenge to get monies from different places
Right.
to make these adjustments. That was the first problem. My mother, when she was put in a hospital, didn't want people touching her. My sister flew down and she showed her on my phone, and right away I said, you guys are missing the point. I could see her eyes, the change in her. And the hospital was missing it. Then I had to get somebody to take care of my father because now he's alone at home.
Right.
And so he gets the interview for Medicare, is it? Medicaid? You take somebody comes out and they interview you to see if you qualify.
Right.
My father didn't qualify. So I had to go private. All of a sudden, what I didn't realize is that he has feelings. What do you mean I can't drive? I had to take his keys. It went into an embankment. He almost killed himself. What do you mean I got to go see your mother every day? What do you mean she's going to cook for me? She's poisoning me. All of this stuff.
Right.
He was eating it, but he was complaining about it. And it didn't dawn on me until that moment that I missed the boat. You see, Latinos are different in Puerto Rico. I'm not saying here, because I didn't know what an associated living facility was
Right.
until I came here. Had no clue. I saw life insurance, which Latinos turn life insurance by borrowing against it, as long-term health care policies. And then when you die, they take out the percentage and give you the rest, right?
Right.
Reverse mortgages. All of this stuff, I didn't know anything about it. And I'm an educated guy.
And
I
you
graduated
sold
from
it,
LA.
didn't
What?
These policies and insurance.
Yes.
But you didn't know what it was doing.
I never agree with reverse mortgages because it was different in the day than it is now, which I'm going to ask him about an update on that.
Right.
But I didn't know that she turned her life insurance policy into a long care deal because she didn't know that these other things were available. So when my father said to me the day my mother died, the day after, he says, here's $8,000 to go bury your mother. I sat back and said, where the hell did this come from?
Right.
Right? And then I was told that there was more monies buried throughout the house, which I never saw. Never saw. There's still monies in the banks that I can't get to because he didn't know someone like you
Right.
to do this correctly. And the laws will affect your life if you don't do it correctly. I mean, I plead with you. It hurts a whole lot more what you don't know. It really does. I am still living. My father died, what, in 17? I'm still living the mistakes that I made because I didn't know someone like you even existed. And I'm being definitely honest. I didn't know that these facilities where you take people, you know how we took care of my grandparents? We sat them in a chair, we gave them a sandwich, we showed them the TV, And we says, okay, we'll be back this evening. That was home care.
Right.
That's it. Nobody came out. My father didn't want nobody in the house. He didn't want nobody taking care of him. He made up some wild stories that I had to fly out and say, this woman's poisoning me. Look at the food. And I said, Dad, this food's been here for 2 weeks in the fridge. Why aren't you eating it? Oh, I didn't make it. But it's everything that you go through that you're talking about. And it has, you have to take accountability, because when you get older and the mind begins to go, you can't blame people. You sort of have to make adjustments. And if you don't make adjustments, man, I'm going to tell you, it's a hell of a ride. That's all I can tell you. I love the fact that I get to see your parents come in here. And I can still have a conversation with your father and your mom. I applaud that. Because if you're going to make moves,
But you see, they
now's
come with an aide. Their aide is with them all the time, and they tapped into my dad's policy that they have this. But he had the foresight to put a long-term care policy many years ago that I think it's a lifetime policy.
Right.
I don't even know if they have those anymore.
They do. I mean, they do. I mean, but these days and again, a lot of people are trapped, especially the baby boomers that are, even like myself, saw what my parents had, and not realizing that there's so many more improvements on all these types of products today, and things have changed so much. Just like Freddie is saying, like you didn't really know and how to tap into these things. Where life insurance these days, it's not so much about a death benefit, but it's about the living benefits that are attached to these life insurance policies. So you get a lot of people saying, I don't need life insurance, because that's their mentality, whether they already got their kids through school or college, because that's a lot of reasons. One of the main reasons why people buy life insurance, to protect the family while the kids, till they get out of college, to pay off a mortgage, something like that. But a life insurance policy should be a lifelong policy, because there's so many benefits and tax benefits to it that people really need to look into it. And again, the old school way, a lot of people, because of their parents, it gets passed along. That's their mentality. So they say, oh, I'm not buying long-term care insurance because I'm not making that premium payment every year. It's going to go up every couple of years. And what happens if I pass away and never use it? It's a waste. So the insurance companies had to adapt to that and adjust their products to now making them where there's other benefits involved. Return a premium. You could buy a long-term care policy or a life insurance with riders attached to it where you can get your money back. And they guarantee that. So how is that a loss? Why would you not be involved in a product like that, where if you decide 10 years from the road, you know what, I don't need it anymore, they give you your money back. So between a reverse mortgage, I mean, I just involved with my in-laws just as of yesterday. They came to me because their accountant finally, after I've been telling them about a reverse mortgage, their accountant told them about it, how it'd be a good idea, because my father-in-law is a little older than my mother-in-law, and that maybe they should protect so that, God forbid, something happened to my father-in-law, my mother-in-law can continue to live there. And I've been talking to them about a reverse mortgage for years, but because the accountant said something to them, now all of a sudden, yesterday we were on the phone with a friend of mine that does reverse mortgages. He explained everything that I've explained to them many times, and they put an application in. And that's to protect their house that they're in.
I just gave your number to a friend of mine who's under the same thing. Her mom and her stepdad recently got married in the hopes of protecting assets on one side, finding out that maybe this wasn't such a good idea because one has more than the other. The other one might pass before this one. Justin, I should actually give them your information also, because people are you assume you know what you're doing until you don't know what you're doing, right? You realize the tax laws are different, the financial laws are different. Social Security, where you may get more from your spouse who passes, it still may not be enough now if they need to go into a long-term care facility.
Right.
It becomes insurmountable.
And you need a team. I don't know everything. But I know enough of everything where to go to get those answers. And I have a team around me, whether, again, it's not something, well, it's the real estate or insurance. Well, I'm licensed and I've been doing that for many years. But if I need somebody to explain the senior housing to somebody, again, I could explain the different options somebody has, but then I bring in somebody that's a professional that specializes that. Or I bring in an attorney to explain the legal documents that are needed to protect the family. So I know enough to send them to the right person that I can trust, that I feel that I can work with them. Because again, it's a team. It's not one person. Not one person can cover everything.
Well, it's important to ask the question.
Right.
Because at least you bring up, okay, did you cover this? Let's look at this. That's important. See, I didn't know the questions to ask because I was under the assumption that this is a piece of cake, you know? You take care of your parents and whatever goes on, goes on.
But now look, you're putting things in place for you.
Well, I understand
and you
that.
still get questioned.
But that's okay. You know, it's not for everybody. I should never have let my parents leave Boca when I had them here. And I go to the grave with that regret. I should never have let them leave because you get things done here in Boca. It ain't the best city in the world, but it ain't the worst. And I let them go thinking that they can handle it because I remember my father being Mr. Indestructible. I remember my father being the person we went to when we had a problem and he says, we're gonna work our way out of it. And I have that mentality with him, but I didn't ask the questions. And that to me, my friend, is important. You gotta ask the questions because if you don't ask questions, if you don't get the facts, you're gonna make a mistake somewhere along the line. And this isn't easy. You know, I look at Justin, he's having babies right now and he's bringing his family up to par. And I look at my boys and they watch the show and they say, you know what, Dad, we get it. Because something as simple as a burial spot can be really complicated among Latinos, man. Really complicated. And you sort of have to answer the question, me first, and then I'll hear what you got to say. Because if you don't take care of you first, how the hell you won't take care of anybody else? And asking the question is the beginning of a conversation. That's why I love what you do. And we should do more what you guys, I'm glad that you brought the two of them in together because it is such a sore spot right now in my life. And I talked to my sister, who has nothing planned either until I got off the phone with her. And she said, then you know, you're right. Why create a burden and then they take care of you the way they can as opposed to the way you want to? And that's really important if you think about it. So,
Education is key, you know, and again, you don't know what you don't know, unfortunately. And I say this to a lot of people that, you know, you can't rely, and I'll laugh about it, but I hear all the time, oh, my tennis buddy or my golf buddy or the guy I go to have, you know, coffee with told me this. And that might be okay for them, but that might not be okay for you and your family because he doesn't know all the details. But unfortunately, they listen to that little bit of information and they run with that as opposed to then asking the next question, well, maybe is this right for me and my family? So I hear that all the time.
Do you ever see that when you have a conversation with people, that they'll get information from the outside? A buddy you went to have a beer with, or you were playing golf with, or somebody that you know, and they tell you the same thing.
Right.
And you've been telling them for years. You know what I heard
Oh,
today?
look, his in-laws went to somebody else and said, oh, Paul, you were right.
I've learned to agree with them and say, you know, it's a great idea.
What a great idea. I wish someone had thought
My
about
pride's
that.
got out of the way. It's not like, no, I told you that. Nope, that's a great idea. Let's go with it. And that's what I've learned.
I tried to swing it so it was my father's idea.
Right.
And he would say, anything he said to me, says, Dad, that's a great idea. Even though we had just talked about it 2 seconds ago.
Right.
And it changed everything. Sometimes you got to give people the opportunity to feel like they're contributing.
Because you still want people to feel like they're in control of their life. So
Correct.
if you can plant the seed to maybe a better idea and it suddenly becomes that other person's idea, doesn't matter how the idea comes to fruition. You taught me this. As long as it comes to fruition and it can help other people. What's the best way for someone to get in contact with you?
My cell phone's the best number at 954-540-6609. You could also email me at paulsolomonpa@gmail.com, or you can stop by my websites and contact me through there, luhuadvisors.com and luhurealty.com.
Let us help you. So yes, just like Cindy Lou Who. I love the name acronym. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we've got Justin Mooney, estate planner, joining us from HHNK, so Hinman, Howard, and Quintel. And they actually have a meeting later today. So they've been networking a little bit on the side, but they've never met. So more to come on financial planning, putting your documents in place, and helping you as well as your loved ones. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Amy Reshevsky can help you choose the right piece that will add some magic to your space. Amy Reshevsky has a wide range of art, from abstracts to mosaic tapestries, and she paints on different surfaces, such as reverse painting on glass, tables, wall hangings, and sculptures. Her work can be ordered online at amyrashevsky.com, or you can come in and see it in real time at the Brooklyn Cafe Art Gallery. She also does commission work, so if you have an idea in mind, she can make it a reality. She invites you to reach out to her at Facebook or at email at amyrashevsky@gmail.com. That's amyrashevsky@gmail.com. Have an artful day. Born in Marseille, France, Max Lazega creates whimsical and free-flowing interpretive art. His 40 years in the construction industry created the foundation for his craft. His unique work displays his view of the future with bold and playful combinations of materials and processes, but the methodology remains consistent. He fuses recycled materials and discarded building supplies into a fresh, well-executed approach. Lazega has lived in Miami, Florida most of his life, where he pursues his lifelong passion of creating industrial art. For more information, contact Max Lazega at artworkstudios.org or 786-326-8873.
Hi everyone, I'm Alana and I am standing in J&D Cakes over off of Federal Highway by Meisner Park in Boca Raton. And wow, does it smell delicious in here. Owned by Joel Basco and Daniela Borquez, they are the ones in the business as far as cakes. From weddings and birthdays, special events, holidays, novelty, and known for their sculpture cakes, you have to check them out. If they look familiar to you, you may have seen them as they were featured on Cake Hunters. They were the winner of Food Network's Cake Wars, as well as returners and finalists on their Champs episode.
Hi, I'm Joel and welcome to J&D Cakes of Boca Raton. We're right across Meisner Park and we're open from Tuesday to Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So come by if you can. If you want to order from us, please call us at 561-569-1860.
Providing music you will enjoy. JM Production performers will brighten up your stage. Condominiums and residential communities, nightclubs and restaurants that want to provide top quality singers and entertainers for their social events, banquets, celebrations, and their customers use JM Productions to ensure that they have an uplifting and beautiful event. Now, tune in for the show.
Welcome to Sunshine Senior Solutions, a trusted medical supply company that puts patients first, offering quality home medical equipment and supplies. Sunshine Senior Solutions is here to help simplify the lives of patients, caregivers, and their families. From canes and crutches to diabetic glucose monitors, your health, safety, and comfort is our #1 priority. Call or visit our website, Sunshine Senior Solutions, bringing the heart back to healthcare.
You've been watching the Brooklyn Cafe Show. Join us each day and after hours as we talk about the hot topics to open the conversations and share a few laughs. Now, back to Dawn and Freddie S.
I gotta get you another bell.
And we're back. Maybe you can get me another bell, because that one is
few
not
other
working.
bells.
Welcome back. Is that what it looks like?
And we are back. Nobody called in to give us the date on when Coca-Cola Today in History first went on sale at a drugstore in Atlanta to cure everything. It's like the
You
Windex
remember the date?
commercial. It was a little before me, but no. Remember
I remember
My
the
Big Fat
date.
Greek Wedding? They put Windex on everything. It cures it all.
That was from the movie.
My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yeah.
Yes.
I did that.
Windex?
Yeah. It works. It really works. It really works.
Welcome back to our show. I'm very excited that we got to introduce Justin Mooney and Paul Solomon because it takes a team, and we've worked with Justin for quite a few months now from HH&K. And the funny thing is, and we're gonna bring Justin over, is Justin, everyone says, I have to get my papers in order. They pull them out of the safe deposit box, they pull them out of the binders, they put them down. I'm going to get my paperwork in order. And not until they think they're gonna die do they actually go, I gotta get my paperwork in order.
Yeah.
Why do we do this as people?
I don't know, people don't like doing chores.
I guess.
I have to set a Google Calendar alert to do certain things around quarterly reminder to clean the dishwasher filter out. Maybe that's just what they.
There's a filter in a dishwasher?
Yeah, you're supposed to like rinse it out every month.
Seriously?
Yeah.
It's not every month. It should do it weekly.
Weekly? Where's the filter?
It's underneath the tray.
What do you do with it?
You clean it out like every other filter. It has junk in it.
Yeah, you're supposed to replace your air filter every 90 days.
That we do.
That I don't do.
Yeah, I do.
We do it here, though. The crew does it for
Yeah,
me.
but that I don't do. Sometimes I forget I even have an air filter.
Yeah.
Got to make sure his mic is on. Yes?
Perfect. Good now?
Wow, I never realized the dishwasher had a filter.
Learning so much.
You teach me so much.
Yeah.
Justin came by last week for my birthday, so thank you for popping
Yeah.
by and for the bottle of Prosecco.
It was.
But
yeah.
holy cow, your son looks like a linebacker. I don't know what you and
Yeah.
your wife are feeding this 3-week-old, but Paul, I'm telling you,
just
he's
milk
like
and protein powder, you know.
Wow.
protein. Freddie,
No.
he's going to be on full food like Joey soon.
I just want to know, how's the pamper thing going?
It's going good. Well, so with his weight, so we got on the scale with him on Sunday, and so he was 3.5 weeks old then, and he was 11 pounds 11 ounces. We're not sure how accurate like our scale is for adults, but we got an appointment next week to see how big he is. I won't be surprised if he's 12 pounds.
I was 10 pounds at a year.
Really?
Now look at you.
Yeah, a whole lot more, exactly.
My wife's brother was 21 pounds at 3 months.
Oh my gosh.
So we, I think we'll probably be on target for that.
Your wife is tall also.
Yeah, she's like 5'10", 5'11". Yeah, tall
Gonna be
people.
tall.
It's funny because you look at Rowan, who's a peanut, and Freddie was the same way. Was very small. And then when Freddie grew up, he got, even though he's not the tallest guy in the world, he bulked up and stuff like that. So I don't worry too much about him. Gio's grown into a string bean. He's over 6 feet. I don't know where that came
I don't know
from.
where that came from either. Look at you. No, I'm kidding.
I don't know where it came from. His mother wasn't taller than me either. I don't know.
But I'm glad it's been a while since you've been with us, having a new baby, and how's
Yeah.
it going, parenthood?
It's going great. The cloth diapering is going very well. We just have to do laundry every day, sometimes multiple loads. But yeah, it's better for the environment. You're not throwing stuff away, and it's also better cost-wise. I think we spent like $200, and that's going to last us forever. Versus, I think you can spend $1,000 to $1,500 in the first year.
I can
Pretty
just keep
wild.
washing them.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the convenience.
Yeah.
You know, when they say what's old is new again, right? There was cloth diapers. It wasn't convenient. You had to wash them. It was keeping the baby wet. So they went to the new diapers. But yeah, now you're talking about what it goes into the environment.
Yeah, it's
Is
like
it safe?
fashion. It's all cyclical.
And then you go back to the cloth diapers because it's more environmentally friendly.
Yeah.
So now that you are back to work and a new father,
Yeah.
has it changed your perception on putting your document? Now, clearly you're not putting senior things in place, but
Yeah. Well, I think like one thing it reminded me of is having a kid. I think my own mortality, kind of being like, wow, my dad was me at one point having a kid, and now he's older and like he's closer to death. And then I think about dying and like, what if I die early? I want to make sure my money goes to support my wife and the baby. And I'm like, if she gets remarried, I might want to put it into a trust. If I die years later. And it becomes a real thing with blended families is what I've been seeing, thinking about a lot more. Because if you have a spouse, you have your own kids and you remarry and they have their own kids. If you die and don't set up your documents and everything goes to your spouse, then your kids might not be taken care of from your estate. And it's something that a lot of people, I think, fail to plan for. People don't like thinking about. I think people might like thinking about the worst case scenario, but it's sometimes hard to, start walking that path to getting the information you need and putting things in place to make sure that you're protected, or at least, your wishes are carried out.
because you carry the gamut from people your age, right, new families, to people our age saying, you know what, things have changed. The last time I looked at my paperwork, my kids had guardians, and now my kids don't need to have guardians because they're upwards 20s, 30s.
Yeah.
And then you look at our parents' age saying, I haven't done this in a long time. Maybe
Yeah.
they've even remarried. Maybe they've lost a spouse and remarried.
Yeah.
all of these things are opportunities to take back a look at your paperwork and your
Right.
finances.
Well, and then a lot of people either forget or misremember what was in their documents originally, and they're like, oh, that's not who I wanted to make these decisions. Or, you know, a lot of the times people will name your spouse to make your decisions primarily if you're incapacitated, and if not, then it goes to, you know, a friend that's close by or a family member. But, you know, sometimes you move, that other person moves, you don't have anyone nearby that's going to make that decision. It's something that needs to be updated and addressed. I know a lot can be taken care of while you're, you know, we live in such a digital world now that you can Zoom anywhere and get information, but sometimes you need to be, you know, have boots on the ground and actually be, you know, at the hospital making the decisions for the incapacitated person, or going to the bank, getting stuff in the safety deposit box, those things. So
Can you put your documents, I'm thinking of what Paul said earlier, in a digital format so your kids who live in another state can have access it?
yeah, so generally all of the documents that I prepare can be effective in copy format. So if what I do is I give a booklet to my clients as well as a digital copy that they can email to their, whoever they named as their healthcare surrogate or power of attorney, any other family. The only thing that won't have effect is the will. So when you file it with the court, it needs to be an original will. So we keep that in our vault, but you wouldn't need a copy of that until the person dies. But you can give copies of everything to your loved ones so they know what's going on. And I think it's a lot better to bring them into the fold with a lot of these things. I think the oft-cited example of generational wealth being depleted is the Vanderbilts. I think top 3 most wealthy Americans, and by the 3rd generation, all the money was gone. And it's because, you know, a lot of people say that it's because you don't tell them why you put the money in the trust. So they just burn through it. They act recklessly. You don't set up, you know, good enough parameters for the trustee to do their job and make sure they carry out what your actual wishes are. I have clients come in and they're like, well, what can I put in my trust? I'm like, I'll put whatever you want in, any kind of direction that you want. The more you tell me, the better. Like I've put provisions in there that say, I want my child to be provided for more financially if they choose a career that is not financially rewarding, but otherwise, like if they go into, you know, becoming a teacher, it's not going to pay a lot of money, but the parent recognizes that, you know, teaching is valuable to our society, and they want that child to be rewarded from the trust, something like that.
See, the problem is that life changes and the trust doesn't. So the trust is written in stone, person passes on, and you get $1 to live on a day.
Yeah.
And that dollar, which was worth $1, is no longer worth $1. So the person who thought they were going to make $100 changes their life and their vision of how they should be living.
Yeah.
And then they go into the dump because that dollar ain't worth $1, and that's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So you have to sort of be on the ball with somebody who can sort of guide you, not just today, but into tomorrow.
Well, yeah, it's a big thing so we call them dynasty trusts that are supposed to last for generations and generations. You try to draft it in a way so that it is future-proof. You know, we put in there discretionary income so that they can be, you know, kept in a lifestyle that they are accustomed to, whatever medical needs they have, things like that. And then at the same time, if in, you know, 10, 15, 50, 100 years, that trust is no longer accomplishing the objective, a lot of states, including Florida, have what's called decanting, which is basically where you take all the assets from one trust and put them in a new trust that has new terms. There are some limitations, but basically it's a way to update the terms of the trust, which I've done a few times because basically it wasn't clear what the grantor of the trust, you know, the grandparent and the great-grandparent wanted for them. They didn't put it exactly in there. So we expanded the terms that allowed the person to be kept, you know, out of the poorhouse, essentially.
It's really interesting because we're going through this right now with my parents, and Aaron, my parents, took out a policy when my kids were born, I guess a life insurance, that only grandparents or parents could do. on a child. And now my son is getting married and he has access to the money. So my mom is saying, all right, I will turn this policy over to you, but we need to do the paperwork.
Yeah.
And if you saw how many times this paperwork has touched their fingertips, it's gone from my mother to my father to my son, back to MetLife, back to my son, back to my mother, back to the point where it still has not been transferred over.
Yeah.
Because no one knows what to do with it.
Yeah.
Because my parents, as much as they know, they don't know. And my son, as much as he knows as a new attorney, does not know either. So then it's, you tiptoe around, I don't want to offend grandma and grandpa, but I could use this amount of money. And this is where all of these things, if they were stipulated,
Yeah.
it would be a whole lot easier than everyone tiptoeing around these conversations.
Yeah, like a common thing that I put into my trust, and a lot of other practitioners do, is they say that, I want to make sure that my child has a primary residence, and then if they also want money to start a business, then that'll be considered as well. Because basically you want to make sure that they are comfortable and living in a lifestyle where they can, almost do anything, but definitely can't do nothing. That's kind of the balance that you work out when drafting these trusts.
And when you work with seniors, when you work as a team, say with someone like Paul, how does that work together? You guys, can I have a 3-shot, please? If Paul says, all right, Justin, I've got this client who needs, I don't know, Paul, whether you see people that need a trust more, or do you see people who need their durable power of attorney and wills more?
I think it's more updating their power of attorneys, healthcare directives, a living will. Some of the planning, or most of the planning I do, and it's not people with substantial assets because they don't really need me for that. We don't set up a trust just because there's easier ways to move the money around than being in a trust, because I don't want to get technical here, it's just easier that way. But the power of attorney is really the main thrust on anything, because it's either outdated, it doesn't have the right agent involved there that really needs to be there. When my mom and dad, let's say, and a lot of people have their husband or wife as the power of attorney, they're losing they're becoming incompetent.
Ask them to give me a 3-shot. So it's more, and I think Justin, you had said, as soon as that power of attorney is signed,
it's
effective, that is effective, and
Right.
people thank you guys. Do people not realize that? Like if.
So it used to be,
Thank you.
I think it's been quite some time, but it used to be allowed in Florida. It was called a springing power of attorney that said this form doesn't have effect until I become incapacitated. But Florida got rid of that. I think there's a couple of states that still have it.
Mm-hmm.
What you can do is, because a lot of people are concerned, they're like, oh, I'm giving them the power. What if they act now? And if you're asking that question, you probably don't want to name them as chair.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, how much do you trust them? But the alternative is that we hold the power of attorney in escrow, and then we only release it under certain circumstances, such as the principal requesting its release, or information from 2 physicians certifying the incapacity of the principal. So situations like that.
And at what point is someone not capable of making the changes in their documents?
Yeah, it's discretionary.
Yeah, I've worked for some.
They laugh.
I've
but-
worked for some
Because it happens all the
some
time.
people who say as long as they pass the mirror test. So if you hold a mirror up to their mouth and they fog it up, then they're good enough to sign. It's all, I think, it's all discretionary. I think if I have someone come in and they know who their kids are, what the document that they're signing is doing, and they know who the president is, what year it is, things like that. It's just generally when I have a conversation, I'll talk with them and see if they can keep up. If they're kind of just drifting, because I've had guardianships that I work on, and I work for the incapacitated person, and I can kind of get a sense, they like to tell stories of the past a lot, and they don't really stay in the flow of the conversation. So it's more just, it's based on how I feel their capability is. If there's a court order saying they're incapacitated, then I'm not going to have them sign anything, though.
I truly feel like we talked to Wayne, we put all these pre-plans in place, and you and I did a lot of our things with Wayne. We're capable of doing it. and knowing what the decisions we want. As we get into this point, I would hope that people put their documents in place before they're at this point, because truly what you want may not be what you're putting in the document. Because you know, you may say, oh, but mom needs X amount of care, and your brother says, no, mom needs this amount of care, and mom's like, if she had done it then maybe there would be an agreement. There wouldn't be
I mean, when my mom and dad did their power of attorneys, they wanted the three of us, I have a brother and sister, to be equal, and they put "and" in there. So all three of us had to make a decision, which is not practical. I'm here in Florida. You know, something happens immediately. Now, depending upon who uses the power of attorney, says, nope, where's your power of attorney? Let me read it. Then I'm up against that wall making a decision that I can't make. Or if I walk into a bank, it says and, I can't make that decision. So we had to redo it, saying, you know, putting a first place and then successor involved, so that everybody knew within the family who was going to make those decisions. It comes up all the time.
I got a question. If this is taking place in Puerto Rico, there's property. And after me and my sister, there's a whole cluster of people. She had 3 kids, 2 kids. So all of these people have different mindsets about the island.
Yeah.
But I don't want the properties or the houses to go into, or let's sell it. So I don't want that. So I want to lock it down so that there is something put in play where, I mean, they're rented, they take care of themselves, pays the taxes, pays repairs, and there's a pool of money that is left over every month.
Yeah.
But what if they don't want to be part of that? In other words, what do you mean he left the houses to us? I don't want to be there. There's a lot of I don't want to be's.
Yeah.
Can that be changed even though that's the way it was set up?
So you're saying you die and you put all the properties in trust, and it says these properties can never be sold, must be maintained, and any of the proceeds get paid out to the beneficiaries. You're asking if they can ever have the property sold?
Correct.
If it's drafted properly enough, it's going to be a very tough fight. They would have to, I'm not familiar with the laws in Puerto Rico, but in Florida, there's a few ways that you can modify a trust, and it's, you know, if the property is unproductive, if it goes against a principal motivation of the settlor, which would be you in this case. But most of the time, these properties are in good places and they're not a bad investment. Or even if they're not producing a whole lot, but it's still sentimental, it's going to be very hard for them to convince a judge to sign off on modifying a trust.
Okay. Interesting.
Makes you reassess things. Let's take a commercial break. There's a lot of things. Right? I look at all the Hazarai and tchotchkes I collect, and I think, did I really need these things? Should you really reassess and take a look at your life and your finances and say, maybe I should put the money towards putting documents in place, putting a long-term care policy in place, putting my pre-need and getting all of these things in place instead of another pair of shoes. I don't know. Things to reassess in my ripe old age is what I'm thinking.
Another pair of shoes.
Another pair of shoes. We're going to take a commercial break. Give us a call or write in any questions you have for Paul or for Justin in senior planning or any type of financial planning. 888-994-4995, Studio A, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to Mini Donut World, where the donuts are hot, fresh, and delicious. Made to order and customizable by you. Gourmet specialty flavors such as apple pie, French toast, campfire, and strawberry cheesecake are always popular. Looking to tailor your appetite? Build your own mini donuts. Choose from over 18 flavored donut bases, add on your icing flavor, and choose from over 15 toppings and drizzles. While kids enjoy our design your own kits to take home, our 21 and over customers love our alcohol-infused donuts. Come visit Mini Donut World at 8763 Sterling Road in Cooper City. Have questions or want to place an order? Give us a call at 954-369-2301. We know you will love each bite of our deliciously distinctive mini donuts.
Attention Florida residents. Is constant water damage from the elements putting holes in your pipes and your wallet? We cut the cost when disaster strikes. You deserve to have your house be a home again. At Triumph, we get you paid the most for your insurance claims. Broken pipes, water damage, and mold? Triumph Consulting covers it all. Call our offices now to qualify for a free house inspection at 954-669-4935 or visit www.wegetYouPaid.com.
Do you need a strong cup of coffee to get you through your day? Try your very own Brooklyn Cafe Show coffee, the official coffee of the Brooklyn Cafe Show. You can pick up a bag from us, or two. Contact us at 866-224-5422, or just stop on by. We're at 2400 Northwest Boca Raton Boulevard, Suite 13. Come on in, grab a bag of our signature Brooklyn Cafe coffee. The cafe doors are always open.
Where my money? Money. Yeah. Where my money? Money. I'm talking about that stimulus check. Stimulus check. Got money. Stimulus check. Stimulus check. Where that stimulus check? Stimulus check. Money. Give me my stimulus check. Yeah. No time for linger. Chain on my neck and ring my finger. 24 on the whip with tint up window. Come from the place, but me and a sprinter. Girl said she love me style, said she name Blinda. Fuck with me cash, I'm rising incha. Cup and burn me, they bring passenger. Anything pop up, then you know what danger. Hey, hey, to the sky, aim for the sky. Money have to make, so we keep on trying. To the sky, aim for the sky. Money have to make when it touching a foreign. To the sky, aim for the sky. I forget rich when it touching a foreign. To the sky, aim for the sky. Money have to make, so we touching a foreign. To the stimulus check, yeah. Stimulus check. Money. Stimulus check. Stimulus check. Money. Stimulus check. Stimulus check. Money. Give me my stimulus check.
I'm not cutting the size of the checks. They're going to be $1,400.
Here at the Brooklyn Cafe, our subjects range from hot topics, feel-good stories, and back-in-the-day nostalgia. With guest personalities and business features, you just never know who you'll see on the show. With our brew crew on set, we always air live to inspire, educate, and create. Make it a date and have a day at the cafe. Join Dawn and Freddie every weekday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. and for lunch every weekday from 12 to 2. Amplify your voice. Call us at 866-224-5422 or visit our website at brooklyncafe.tv.
Welcome to AMP2 TV, the first and only internet production company that's truly plugged in. When you're looking for a full-service internet radio, TV production company, discover AMP2 TV. AMP2 TV is a full-service media company that can provide all streaming videos, video studios, radio studios, and television studios. Call us today at 866-224-5422, for no business is too small to grow to be accounted. It's time for your message to be seen. Let AMP2 TV help get you there.
You've been watching the Brooklyn Cafe Show. Join us each day and after hours as we talk about the hot topics to open the conversations and share a few laughs. Now, back to Dawn and Freddie S.
This portion of today's show is brought to you by Justin Mooney, Special Counsel of the Florida Office of Hinman Howard and Cattell Attorneys.
And I got a dead bell.
You do not. You got a limp bell is all I can say. I'll glue it back for you. We'll have another bell.
Ding, ding, ding. We're back.
We're back with Justin Mooney of HHK, Hinman, Howard, and Cattell, attorneys at law. I was thinking of you. My son's friend just got into the LLM program at UM.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's
So-
a great program.
So he's very excited. So he's like a second son. So we're very
Yeah.
excited. I can only think of you. How has that benefited what you do as far as law?
So the LLM at University of Florida is very tax focused. And I think, I got a good basis for estate planning in just the JD program, but then the tax program really amped it up to give a better understanding of how the income tax works for estates and trusts. So after a person dies and before all the property is distributed out, any income that's being generated, the estate will be responsible for the tax on that. And similar to a trust that's generating income, it's going to have to pay tax on it unless it distributes it out. There's a lot of nuances that I wasn't aware of, prior to moving into that. I don't know, kind of learning about tax really opens up your world and you see how everything, relates to tax. you selling your car relates to tax. Although most of the time you're not going to make any profit on it, so it's not really going to affect anything. But if you're a business and you're selling some of your property, yeah, it's something you need to consider.
I mean, you offer so many diverse options for clients, from taxes and rules and estates to simple documents to people even just traveling abroad, what they need to put into place.
Yeah. Basically, I think anyone can benefit from at least having a conversation with me. Just give me a call or email me, and we can set up, a free consultation, and we can discuss what your options are, what would happen, what you would want to have happen. Because a lot of the time, it's not necessarily a problem when you die. It doesn't really matter what happens after you die.
Right. You're not
to
dealing with
you.
it.
But I think incapacity is one of the bigger things that I deal with, is telling my clients is we need to determine who are the best people to put in place as the decision makers when you become incapacitated and can't, control your finances, if you're unable to make your own healthcare decisions, if you're unable to really understand what's going on around you. And I think that's more important than, what happens after death.
I think what I'm finding, and I don't know if you are, the more educated I become through our show and through our sponsors and clients, the more things I want to put in place for myself and for my kids, for my family. And not everyone is in the same space I'm at. So when I say I'd like to do this, it's okay, why? Or no, I don't want to talk about this.
Yeah.
Perfect example with Wayne. I put all my things and Chuck says, I don't want to talk about it. I'm not doing it. And then I think people must stop and say, well, if my spouse doesn't want to do this or my significant other doesn't want to, I'm not going to do it, even though in your gut, that gut health, that gut feeling, you feel, I really want to do this. How do you handle one person in a couple or not doing it?
So long as they have their own separate property, it's something that we can prepare. Most of the time, they're usually in agreement, or one can drag the other into the office and we can discuss the options. But someone sent me this really funny article, and the headline was like, update your estate plan, not for your wife, but for your wife's new husband. And it's basically, it's like what I was talking about earlier, is these blended families is, you want your spouse to be provided for in the event of your untimely death, but do you want her new spouse or her new spouse's kids being taken care of as well with your money?
I actually have that stipulated in one of my policies, that the money goes to my kids and not his second wife. And I did this years ago. And my financial planner said, you did what?
When I sold life insurance, that was the number one question asked. And I would say, if that's the way you think, then don't do this, because you're dictating how they're going to live their life. You die and they have a life.
Yeah.
You can't say you're not allowed to have a spouse. You can't say that
You
spouse.
can have it, you just can't have my money.
But it's not your money.
But it is. It's, I die, I'm worth X.
Well, so let me, in this scenario that the article was talking about was more, the newly widowed spouse is going to be taken advantage of financially. You have all these people coming out of the woodwork, finding out there's a $2 million policy.
Well, that's a nice spin to it.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that it's the widow's money and should be spent the widow's way.
Well, so that's why you put in there, it provides to keep my spouse in the lifestyle they're accustomed to, provides for their health, education, maintenance, and support for them. And then, you put a trustee in place that knows what your wishes are and isn't, funding the lifestyle of the new boyfriend, the new husband, the new, wife, girlfriend, that thing.
The boyfriend I can understand, but if she decides to marry this person, that's her new life.
But what if?
Well, you're one person. That's your opinion. I've talked with other people that have differing opinions.
I understand that, but I never understood that.
What if a guy passes away and he wants, the wife is the beneficiary, but in actuality, he would really like his kids to be provided for.
Yeah.
And the wife should be accustomed to the lifestyle. This is not a divorce. This is an unfortunate situation.
Yeah.
But you want your kids to be able to have what you would like. Would that money go into a trust? Because you wouldn't want it to go to the wife and then what's ever left go to the kids.
If you just have a life insurance policy and it lists them as the beneficiaries, that's where it's going. If you have a trust in place, and then you have the trust named as a beneficiary, then you put in the trust how you want everything to be split up. And if you want it to be kept in a continuing trust for, for the wife, to make sure that she's being taken care of, but also not becoming a spendthrift.
And then I think what happens, well, like when Paul was here, all those monies go to pay sometimes for the next spouse if they're aging.
Yeah.
And they're caregiving. And maybe that's not what you had intended, and life happens, of course, but maybe through different vehicles that it can be invested differently, so you're not going through all of that savings. It just seems to work your whole life to pay for a nursing home. That's probably not what you want from your life, but often that's what ends up happening.
I mean, I can see your side, Freddie. You know, if you
He's
die,
like, give it to the wife
if you
and
die,
the new
you want
husband.
your spouse to be taken care of and keep them as happy as possible. I can understand that.
But if she decides to marry and has kids and all that, I don't want to be the one. I mean, it's just funny.
But can his kids get your money? What if
It's
your
not
kids?
your money. It's death money. It's money that was insured in case you died.
What if it's not that? What if it's you have $1 million or $2 million in a savings?
Okay.
Your hard-earned money. It's
So
not
is
even a
it
death
your money
benefit.
then?
Is that your money?
And where does the money go? To the spouse?
Yes.
Okay, that's it. That's the end of the story. I can't dictate to her if she remarries that she can't spend money or he can't
Are you
spend
saying
that
morally
money.
you can't? Because legally it can be drafted that way.
Morally, I cannot because that's
Okay.
not fair to the person you leave behind. Then you're dictating that person's life. And that to me is a problem.
I can understand in a sense of, so if I die, I have a life insurance policy that's supposed to replace the income that is lost.
Right.
And I understand that. It's supposed to be used for my wife.
So if she marries again,
Yeah.
he's not allowed to enjoy the benefits of that money?
She shouldn't be marrying a bum, He should.
But you see,
I think
but-
she's going to have.
Think about. I agree with you, but think about what you're saying. You're changing the judgment of what she should and shouldn't do. And I'm pretty sure that if
I'm
she was
not.
standing here,
I'm
you
not.
wouldn't say that.
I'm just
to her.
advising clients, is all I'm saying. I'm not making any
That's
more.
because your wife is watching, by the way. Would you tell Chuck how to live his life if it's you giving him the money?
I think I would like, if I had that kind of money, which I don't, I would stipulate certain percentages to go to my kids.
Yeah.
I don't think I would say I would like you to be full beneficiary and then the kids get nothing.
Yeah.
No, that's easy. That's a given. We're talking
But no,
about
but that has
hard
to
stuff.
But it's kind of the same thing because if Chuck's my 100% beneficiary and I pass,
No,
heaven
you
forbid,
wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that.
he gets, but that's what most people do. They make
Yeah.
their spouse their beneficiary, and that can be spent any which way, whether it be on long-term care, nursing home, and then whatever left over, that's what goes to the kids.
No,
and that,
you do a will, you divide it.
see, but that to me is
normally.
when you have issues because mom's aging in place and you need all that money. And one sibling says, oh, but if we pay all of mom's money into mom's care, there's nothing left for us.
Yeah.
Maybe we shouldn't use all of mom's money for her care. We should give her a
I-
little bit of care
Yeah,
so
my
we
wife
can have
sees
some money.
that a lot. In hospice, a lot of people
I'm
don't want to.
I'm learning more and more,
Yeah,
right?
they don't want to, spend all the money because this is our retirement. This is like our inheritance. Do we want to spend it on keeping mom and good health? But so let me give you, we've been kind of focusing on, controlling that spouse's life. Putting it in trust isn't necessarily dictating how they should live their life. It also gives them protection. If they get into a car accident, have a bad business deal, if they later on get married and divorce from that person, if you give that money to them outright, you have that $2 million policy that gives just straight $2 million cash to them, and the next day any of those things happen, that money can be gone. But if it's in trust, it can be protected from, you hit 4 hand surgeons that are on their way to work and they can't work again, that $2 million would be gone. But if it's in a trust that has spendthrift protection provisions, then that money's not going to be paid out to them. It's still going to be kept for your spouse in that continuing trust until
That's
her death.
interesting.
Well, that's a good setup because it protects her interests.
Yeah.
And I get that. That's probably the best way to do it, and I get
Interesting.
that.
And we set these things up for worst case scenario. If I'm not saying that the surviving spouse can't fall in love again and have a happy life, but What if she's later in life and there's incapacity concerns and she's being taken advantage of, and you have an independent trustee that's able to evaluate those things and make sure that the spouse isn't getting paid out, hundreds of thousands every month, and it's not even going to her. She's giving it to her swindling new boo.
Like the guy from
But did you
Europe,
hear
right?
what he
That
called
TikTok
it?
guy.
Tender swindler?
Did you hear what he called it? Swindling boo-hoo. He's already labeled it. He ain't even in the picture yet.
Yeah, and then Netflix has what is the Tender Swindler and Creating Anna. People are easy to be taken advantage of, especially so when they're older and in age and their brains aren't working as well. But so it's not about dictating how you want them to live. It's about making sure that they're protected, and whatever you want to put in the document, you can put in the document, so long as it doesn't violate public policy.
I can see him playing those movies. He's like, check this out.
But there's so many different reasons to put things allocated differently. I hadn't even thought about the trust side of, heaven forbid you're in an accident. And because in Florida, you have homesteading, and a lot of things are houses, and then you've got tenants by the entirety, so your monies are protected and assets. But if your spouse passes, and here you now have this lump sum of money that's given to you personally, and someone comes after and sues you, that money that you were supposed to have is now gone.
Yeah, so generally it's going to be your homestead, and retirements and annuities are going to be protected from those type of creditors. But anything else is a big problem. Because I've actually had clients who one spouse had a bunch of bad business deals previously and had a bunch of outstanding debts and judgments, and they held everything as tenants by the entirety. And the hope is he dies first. Because if she dies first, all those creditors are going to come knocking because it's just his asset now and his debt.
Things there, the crazy stories that happen in South Florida, and I'm sure you're thinking of all these crazy stories in the news that you know of that's happened, and then unfortunately that person does pass away for whatever legal reasons there are. It gets complicated.
It gets very complicated.
Makes you smile. I don't
Because
know.
I used to hear these war stories, and it was always the male that said, why am I dying and leaving her to live a full life and all this? It was always the guy.
But I think it's typically because most relationships, the man is older than the woman. So just through aging.
The man just dies earlier than
And they
the
take
woman.
more risks. And
No, the women kill the men off. I get it.
No. I
Just
saw
a
a terrible story today of a young man who fit in yoga from South Florida. He just never woke up.
Yeah, that's an exception. I'm talking about a marriage, been together for 60 years. I shouldn't say that because my mother died first, right?
It's crazy. You don't realize the ramifications. And I learned so much on our show that makes me say, you just want to say we have to put our documents in place. And you and I put things in place, and the people aren't always in agreement with what we do. Why did you do it? My kids, I don't want to talk about it. Well, good. You don't have to because it is now taken care of for you.
That's the strangest thing. I don't want to talk about it means that whatever comes down and you had a chance to talk about it and you didn't talk about it, I want to hear it. Well, you're not going to hear it, but it's it. It is what it is because you didn't want to talk about it.
You really should put it all in place.
yeah,
What's
it's
the
like
best way?
it's like putting a piece of tape on your engine check light. You're like, I don't see it. Problem's still there.
That's right.
Problem, right? It's putting the chores in place.
Yeah.
And just have the conversation.
Truth don't lie.
But the best way to contact me is my office number is 561-276-1008, or my email is jmooney@hhk.com.
Wow, even newlyweds, huh?
Yeah.
Tell your soon-to-be wife, Slick, the prenup.
Yeah, I don't know why she wants a prenup.
Love doesn't have prenups. You do those also?
Yes. Yeah, and postnups.
I was going to ask you, is there really such a thing as a postnup?
Yeah, so in Florida, for a prenup, you don't have to have any financial disclosure, but after you get married, you have to make a full financial disclosure of all your assets and liabilities to make sure that your spouse is fully apprised of what he or she could be missing out on. But
You hear her?
What'd she say? I heard a scream. What'd she say?
Wait, a postnup is after the marriage and you
Yes.
have to disclose it?
yes.
They realize that they didn't get? Why is that?
Well, so it's often said, and you'll have some cases where they're trying to dispute the validity of a prenuptial agreement. I think Dr. Dre is actually getting divorced, and his wife was saying that it was under duress that she signed because she said if I didn't sign, he wouldn't marry me. And that's not a good enough argument.
But that's not a duress.
Yeah. So getting married to someone prior to getting married, the prenup, you don't have to have a financial disclosure just because I don't know the full public policy reasons behind it. But after you get married, your spouse is entitled to whatever he or she is entitled to under the law. And in terms of fairness, the state legislature put these things in place saying you have to disclose of all your assets and all your liabilities when signing a postnuptial agreement, waiving those things, because you want to be fully apprised of what you're missing out on because you currently are entitled to those things. Whereas a prenup, you're not entitled to any of those things because you're not married yet.
I always wonder how you divide assets. So you come into a marriage with X, but you invest X and X grows, and then maybe you take from X to buy your house, but now your wife lives in the house, but if you get divorced, she then gets half the house. It gets complicated.
Yeah.
Right, because you don't keep that X aside. You use it, you grow it, you invest it.
Prenup, you get nothing. If I buy a lotto ticket.
You get nothing, thank you.
If I buy a lotto ticket and the lotto ticket hits, and I don't realize that the lotto ticket hit, but my wife she takes the lotto ticket and lo and behold, she cashes it in because they ask you for the information.
So you're saying
whose money is that?
So are you saying, wait, your spouse took your lotto ticket?
I left it on the drawer.
Is it before you got married?
Hold on. No, the spouse.
Oh,
she took the ticket and cashed it in. It's worth $100 million.
I'm sure there'd be some determination of, was it marital assets that were used to purchase the ticket, something like that, and then also
But what if
probably
it's a prenup? There was a prenup in play.
So a prenup generally deals with all your assets coming into the marriage. A lot of the time, moving forward after the marriage, everything is generally seen as kind of part of the marriage unless you write it as otherwise.
But in that scenario, she keeps the money because the prenup protects her.
No, only if the
No,
money
because
came from before you got married.
she took your lotto.
Yeah, but it's my word against her.
But you were married.
Lotto? Yeah.
Because she's your spouse.
But it's a
so it wasn't
prenup before you got married.
So are you saying you bought the ticket?
Yes.
Before you got married?
No, I got married.
Yeah.
I signed a prenup.
Yeah.
Okay, we're both worth $1.
Yeah.
I bought the ticket, forgot, I left it on the drawer. She cashes in the ticket.
You're 50-50 because you're married in
Yeah,
Florida.
at a minimum it would be 50-50. But
How could that be? If she says, wait a minute, this is my ticket. She says, this is my
it's still
ticket.
50-50 in Florida as a couple, right?
So the
Minimum?
prenup doesn't protect her?
No.
Hey,
Because she
that's
didn't
what I'm
buy it
I
before
don't
you
know
got
if
married.
so generally
It's so complicated.
we make determinations based on what outstanding case law there is, and I'm not sure if there's been a case like that.
I'm making a movie.
Yeah. Is Nicolas Cage in it?
He could
There was
be.
that one.
Yes.
Based on a
Yes.
true story about the waitress with the lotto ticket.
It's an interesting fact.
Well, I think in that scenario, at a minimum, it would come down to you'd be entitled to 50% just by way of the marriage. But if you tried to show it was your money, you might stand to get it all.
You gotta have that impenetrable prenuptial. Impenetrable.
If you had bought the ticket prior to getting married and then signed the prenup, got married, and then cashed it, that might be a different story and you'd be entitled to all of it.
If I can prove I bought it.
Well, then you would just go to, wherever you bought it from and ask for the security tapes.
Suppose there is none.
Oh.
Lie detectors.
Is that admissible? Lie detector?
It's not whether or not it's admissible. It's whether or not the evidence is essentially worthy. Does it do anything? Does it show anything? It's all about, you would have character witnesses coming in saying, oh, Freddie never lies. And then,
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, it would just...
Slurk, Freddie never lies.
Slick's asleep. Just give Justin a call. The amount of information he has to educate you and help make your life a whole lot simpler and stop all this craziness. give them a call. What's the best way to reach you?
They can email me at jmooney@hhk.com, or my office number is 561-276-1008.
Wow. Welcome back. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Congratulations again on Rowan.
Thanks.
He's got a Rowan who's bigger than your Rowan already.
Well, it's funny because we're going to be doing a remote next Friday, and I want to put some of the people that we work with and sort of hand it out to those researchers. Like 500 researchers are going to be involved in this.
Get some cards and bring them over.
Yes, because in his line of business, a researcher can be overnight success. And you sort of have to know what you're doing when that happens. And
Yeah.
a lot of the things they come up with, I'm going to tell you, are going to be shakers and bakers in the future. So it might be somebody, might be in that group of people, someone to talk to for you. It might be an interesting conversation.
All right, we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up our Talk to Me Tuesday. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Meet Jay Harmon, one of the many artists held in the Brooklyn Cafe Gallery. Jay specializes in various different art styles, but his medium to work with is colored pencils. His unique style comes from being self-taught and years of practice. Jay pulls his inspiration from many outlets like people, television, celebrities, and many more. With multiple original pieces, Jay's art graces the gallery with over 40-plus works for viewing and for purchase. His many years of being an artist has given him a chance to partner with the Derwent brand, giving him the opportunity to try many different work styles and further his craft. Feel free to come on down and visit the studio to view his work, or if you're interested in your own Jay Harmon original, he's open to commissions on his website, coloredpencilartist.com, or catch his show, The Colored Pencil Artist, on Amp Media Productions on YouTube and Facebook. See you soon.
We hope you're enjoying this episode of the Brooklyn Cafe TV show. Whether you enjoy watching in the mornings or afternoons, you can now watch with your favorite merchandise. Choose from the Brooklyn Cafe t-shirts, ranging from sizes small to 3XL. Colors available include black, dark heather, and navy. Feeling chilly? Just check out our latest hoodie with over 9 colors to choose from. Sip on some Brooklyn Cafe coffee with Dawn and Freddie in a matching mug as seen on set. Brooklyn hats and special seasonal items are always popping up and available upon request. To purchase, you can visit our online store at brooklyncafe.tv/shop. Happy shopping!
Welcome to Lost Harbor Spirits, a world where pirates inspire our spirits, treasures remain undiscovered, and flavors are infused with the essence of mysterious voyages. The distillery became one of the few women-owned craft spirits production sites in the U.S. From our award-winning spirits of vodka and rum to delicious gin, we're always coming up with some new and exciting flavors to keep your cocktails delicious and fresh. Proudly distilling out of West Palm Beach, Florida, Lost Harbor Spirits is a true treasure waiting to be discovered. Contact Palm Beach Distillery at lostharborspirits.com to take a tour or purchase your favorite spirit at your local liquor store.
Being a successful woman in business means having the courage to own who you are. We understand the challenges faced by women, and we are here to help. Our team is here to develop the best strategy designed just for you. Your path is unique, and with the right tools, you can accomplish your dream. From radio to TV, from podcasting to magazines, we create the visibility to amplify your impact in business. At New Dawn Media, we are here to help bring your message forward and help your business flourish. It is time for your message to be seen and your voice to be heard. Contact us at 866-224-5422 or brooklyncafe.tv. Your voice can make a difference.
Brooklyn Cafe Show. Join us each day and after hours as we talk about the hot topics to open the conversations and share a few laughs. Now, back to Dawn and Freddie S.
And we're back. 'Cause I got
New
no
merch.
bell. New merch.
New merch. This portion of the show brought to you by Brooklyn Cafe Show Coffee. See if she finds that transition.
She doesn't know that.
She made it. All right, we'll have
She
to
doesn't
bring
know the
her abreast
transition.
on that one. New
Slick
merch,
never
new
told her about the transitions.
He's still not because he's on his phone.
Oh, that's sorry. They don't do that.
Oh, wait.
No, they're not on their phone.
New merch. It's still Merch March Madness, so check it out, brooklyncafe.tv. Go to Shop tab, and you can find everything 10% off. BC10 gives you 10% off. And these are our new water bottles. These are what, 17 ounces? Water and hot and cold.
First of all, they're
I
not
love
called
these.
water bottles. They're called bottles.
Thermoses, sorry.
Because I'm using it for coffee. I am actually going to put the Brooklyn Cafe coffee in here because I want to take a sampler to different places that we're going to be selling and putting out the little packets you guys are putting together.
Maybe
And-
our donut company would like to put some
Hey,
out at
what
the
is
Del
this?
Rey Affair.
I would like to get some donuts from that donut company.
Moonray? Have you ever heard of Moonray Donuts?
I never heard of
Moonray?
it. I saw the shirts.
I think.
But I never, I heard it's a donut you eat with a spoon, but I've never had one. When you brought those donuts in here, it was like the locusts ate it. All they left was the box.
They were good.
How many did you have?
I like the little ones. I'm good on the little ones.
Yeah.
I almost think they're too big because you can't be making money on a donut that size.
Yeah. We manage, but we actually, sort of for the Bacon and Bourbon Festival last weekend, we had 2 new flavors that we added. Was like a glazed donut with bacon on it, and then for our s'mores donut that has the marshmallow filling on the inside, we added bourbon to it. So it's like a bourbon s'mores.
Oh my
And then we had
gosh.
donut holes that were glazed, and then bourbon was like drizzle, like a little bourbon icing drizzle on it. So it was very popular.
Do you do a donut and you put fruit filling on top of it? Like raspberries or
We would put like we actually would do a peanut butter and jelly donut, but they weren't popular, so we would put fresh fruit on top.
Yeah. How was that?
I think it was great. We make our own peanut butter from scratch, so we did that too. So, it went
So
on
how much does a donut cost?
Our cheapest one is the glaze, which is $2.75.
And how much is the most elaborate?
That would be our chocolate hazelnut, which is like Nutella, but we make it from scratch. That's $4.25.
For a donut?
Yeah.
And do you sell a box of 12?
If they want, we don't have it. We box everything individually, but if they wanted to buy 12, we would discount it.
So you can purchase it that way?
Yeah.
And do you go online to purchase the donut? How do you get them?
The next time, so we're just doing pop-up events, which is the next one is the Del Rey Affair. So it's April 8th, 9th, and 10th, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Or they can go to our website at moonraydonuts.com and contact us that way.
They are amazing. What's the most popular?
The most popular would probably be the chocolate hazelnut. Yeah, so it's like Nutella, but instead of using
Freddie,
palm
they're
oil,
like this big.
yeah, and all the added sugar, we just use dark chocolate, sea salt, avocado oil, and hazelnuts.
Wow.
You see, you take that donut and you cut it into quads. And 12 turn into 48.
Wow.
I mean, that's amazing.
That is amazing. Absolutely. If you think about it that way, you rationalize. I always wondered how many munchkins could I eat to equal like a full donut. So if you take one of these donuts and cut it into quads, it's like having 4 munchkins, and you can portion it out.
Well, you should have the morning show with some coffee.
Yes.
And you should have your donut. And you should have
your coffee news.
Your coffee news. So all of these things, it's like taking the subway early in the morning when I was in New York City. And I had all that on the A train. Except for the news, I had the Wall Street Journal because I used to deliver that, or the New York Times, or the Post.
So
it was probably the Post.
You've got our new coffee news.
I don't know. Is this the new one?
It was dated March 24th, yes. We don't have a new one yet. That was last week's.
This is the new one. Oh, there you go. They got questions.
There you go.
So this portion of the show brought to you by Coffee News. I want to do the trivia. What type of food is a blini? B-L-I-N-I.
Blini?
Yeah, blini.
I think it's like a donut, isn't it?
Bellini? It's a drink.
B-L-I-N-I.
think
What
it's like
type
a
of
crepe.
food is it? It's a food. It's not a
A
drink.
crepe or a donut?
It's like a peach Bellini.
What'd she say?
Pastry.
What kind of pastry?
A pie.
No. What country is it from? Country, not a balloon.
France.
Russian pancake.
Really? A blini. Like a
Blini.
blinth.
She knew exactly what it was.
Wow.
Confidence in that yell.
My
That's
goodness.
his future wife. Who's got a prenup that she wants him to sign.
This has been going on for weeks. What was the name of the first U.S. space shuttle in 1981? What? No. No, that's the one that
Challenger's
blew up.
85.
What was the first space shuttle in 1981? What was the name of it?
I don't know. Not know.
Columbia.
Columbia.
Thank you. Which pop artist is well known for his depictions of soup cans?
Andy Warhol.
That's right.
One of them.
You do?
Yes. No,
You
I
have
the
one?
Answer. I don't have one of his.
Oh,
What does PTSD stand for?
post-traumatic stress disorder.
Post-traumatic stress, yes. What studio
That
is
is
that?
correct.
Thank you.
You didn't get it right.
What studio is that? Post-traumatic stress or
Disorder.
disorder?
Not order. That would be O.
Yes, oh.
Ty Cobb was a famous actor or baseball player.
Baseball.
Baseball.
Did you know that?
Baseball. Well, I knew I didn't think he was an actor, so I had 50-50
Ty
on that one.
Cobb. The Ty Cobb Award is given to the person that does what?
Plays baseball.
No.
Best pitcher.
Who has the most hits in the game? Ty Cobb or Pete Rose?
Pete Rose.
That's right.
When's
And
your
who's-
birthday?
January 2nd.
So you're
Capricorn.
Capricorn, that would be.
Apparently, we're very calculating and heartless people.
Is that you, Bree? That's your future Mrs. Slick Hendricks over there?
Capricorn, this week you may find a good integration of your mind and your emotions. So you're a very emotional person. This may allow you to be more flexible in looking for outside-the-box solutions. You seem like a guy who does outside-the-box
Yeah.
solutions. You're down to earth. I gotta tell you, you're the one Capricorn in my life that I've met that's completely different from all the others.
Yeah, I know.
Because Capricorn, I'm gonna tell you, they're a
His
trip,
energy-
baby.
His energy is like
Trip.
better than like other Capricorns we've seen.
He said it, I didn't, but I agree. Who's in Aries?
Me and Bailey.
The Duet Sisters. The sun is in your sign, which gives energy to use to achieve your goals.
True that. I'm like a solar-powered cell
You know,
sitting out in the
you're
sunshine.
just like a freaking battery, that, like the Energizer Bunny. However, as you pursue them, be careful of being overly aggressive in your interactions with others. Now, I'm going to tell you, if this bell worked, I would be ringing it. Because you're a little bit just like her.
Your birthday's next week? What day?
We have to celebrate.
It's Tuesday? Oh.
Don't you realize when your birthday is?
You're going to be here.
We have to celebrate. Sick is going to jump out of a cake for you. Slick is a Libra, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Slick will be jumping out of a cake. This may be a busy time for you. Communicating with others is important for putting your plans for the next 6 months into motion. Find an outlet to reduce your stress level. You listening? Are you listening?
I've been
You give a lot of stress, too. Who's the Taurus?
He's a Taurus rising.
Who's the real Taurus?
My daughter.
Isn't Bria Taurus?
Scorpio.
Who's an Aquarius?
Alyssa. I love our intercom system here.
This is Aquarius.
High quality production studio.
Many of those born under this sign have a strong urge to all human advancement and evolution. At this time, various planetary energies may provide support to you for that desire. So your old school thoughts are coming forward. My brother was an Aquarius.
My mother's an Aquarius.
Hot-tempered people.
No,
Oh,
they're
yes.
pretty mellow people.
No, not when they get
That's true.
going. That engine goes, it's all over.
That is true. When was your brother's birthday?
February something.
My mom was the
24th, I
3rd.
think.
Okay.
Maybe the 5th. Interesting.
Yeah.
I thought we had a Taurus in here, the bull.
Slick. He's Taurus moon rising.
No, forget about him.
Yes.
Who's the Cancer?
Josh.
What is Sarah?
Sarah's the Libra?
Sarah, you're a Libra?
I think you got it. What about you?
Pisces.
I know that.
Many Pisces have strong intuition.
Sure.
Ooh. If this is you, a lot of information may be coming at you right now. I have so much information at me, it's making holes in my socks. It will take time to sort out the meaning of it. What kind of jip is that?
Sort out the intuition.
No, I don't
Follow
want
that gut
I ain't got
instinct.
time. I ain't got time for that. Anyway, if you want your coffee news, you can get a stand delivered to you. Just call Joey at 951-7870. That's 954-951-7870. Wow, there's a lot of people in here. Diana Soley from
She's
Medicare
going to be joining us next week on the show.
Oh, she's
Sobol
coming.
will be in a few weeks. They're opening a new
Sobol?
location in Boynton Beach, so they're doing free acai bowls in Boynton Beach, I believe on Thursday at Sobol.
Yes, because if you take an ad out with them, you come in to see us. What about CMC Blinds?
My next phone call.
Wow, this is really cool. Let me see. And there you be. I found you.
There I be.
Who else? Lucky's in here. King Diva we spoke to. That's about it. Oh, and of course, Lemon Pop Bubbles.
Mr. Lemon Pop Bubbles. And the new
Hilarious.
Boca magazine should be out momentarily, so check out our ad. If you see it, you can win 2 tickets to Movies of Delray or Movies of Lake Worth. Just
Yes.
let us know you found the secret picture.
The
Have a
secret
great day,
picture.
everyone. You ready to wrap it up?
Ready to
Justin,
wrap it
thank
up.
you for joining us. Contact Justin Mooney, HHNK. Wow, so much information. Just follow your gut instinct. Today's show brought to you by Your Gut Health.
Gut
We're going to
Health.
be at Boston Bio's Life at the Anti-Aging Conference next Friday down in Doral. More information to come with that. Have a great day, everyone. Stay safe. Be kind to each other. Tune in to Tell Us Your Business tonight at 7 o'clock as we talk about branding, promotion, and amplifying your business. We'll see you in a little bit.
And don't be late.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's about it for today. Even though the show's over, the Broken Cafe is always open for business. You're invited to join the fun every day from 12 to 2. If you missed some of the laughs from today, Dawn and Freddie S. will bring you more good cheer next time. You can follow the Brooklyn Cafe on Facebook at the Brooklyn Cafe TV to rewatch every minute of the show. We'll see you next time.
In the cold and sleepless nights, I wait for you to bring me back to life. In my electric eyes, it doesn't mean that time can pick in every single breath. I want to unfreeze my heart and fly away. That's why I wanna save her. Your moons and craters. Open up my eyes, waterfalls of ice, sweeping me away like an avalanche. Helpless as I fall, the words can't say it all, sweeping me away like an avalanche, like an avalanche. I listen for her sound, waiting deep inside my maze of sweeping thrills and colors, just a ray of light.